Bitcoin is making a recovery upwards, but I still think that it is in a lot of trouble and nobody is paying attention to this. If we take a look at the fear and greed index, we can see that for a second day in a row, people are becoming a little bit more comfortable with the market sentiment at the moment. And that is, I think, in large part because Bitcoin has started to form a little bit of a V-shaped recovery and now start potentially attacking that $60,000 level. We've done quite well, Bitcoin pretty much exactly since the last video I made where I was telling you I'm trying to become a bull again. Bitcoin has started to encounter some of the key areas of resistance that we knew Bitcoin was going to face. Now, unfortunately, I accidentally removed a few of my boxes here, but the main box that I wanted you to pay attention to would have been somewhere around here, just at that $60,000 level, demonstrating to you all that this is where Bitcoin previously was finding a lot of support in this trend. That we just removed the Ichimoku cloud, was previously finding a lot of support in this trend and was consolidating around here. And we were finding resistance here, right? So this level was extremely, extremely important in the market. And we're now coming back up to find a little bit of resistance. And this is the primary problem that I was warning you guys about in almost every single video lately, is that, obviously I think Bitcoin long term is still super, super bullish. And tomorrow's video, by the way, is going to be a very bullish one where I break down for you the long-term case for Bitcoin and why I think it's still super strong. Now, the long-term chart and the short-term chart are two different things. And the short-term chart right now is still looking bearish to me, and I'll keep telling you why later on in this video, but it's very, very important to keep in mind what I've been telling you recently. So if you're already subscribed, you've already been taking the bell, and hitting the like button and all that, you'll know exactly what's up. But it's the key thing I was warning you guys about, ladies and gents, where if Bitcoin continues to fall, it's going to have resistance levels above. I was talking to you about on the way down, Bitcoin had support areas to expect. So we had some support to expect over here. As predicted, we bounced up. We had some support to expect over here, and one of the situations I outlined is that we perhaps trade sideways and then dump. That happened as well. And so at each of these areas that Bitcoin was able to enjoy a little bit of support, we must expect it to find resistance now, and we've already started to do that. If you zoom in onto the 1 hour time frame, you can really start to see that Bitcoin managed to rise up into this box right here where it was previously finding a lot of support in this trend, and then saw a little bit of a drawdown. Now, this is not a big drop at all. Bitcoin only got a 2.3% rejection. This is barely anything. This is just a fluctuation as far as I'm concerned. And I think that Bitcoin is actually looking like it's in a pretty good place. You guys will remember if you watched my previous video where I was telling you that depending on how Bitcoin interacts with its next area of resistance, it might make me more or less, bullish. And this actually goes back to how I was talking about just in my previous video, just the one right here. I was talking to you guys about how support areas and resistance areas, they actually, they flip over time. And I actually want to see how many of you guys look at this. So many of you guys loved the advanced analysis I was giving you guys. So many of you guys asking for more of this type of content. Look at this. Shout out to those of you who are dropping your comments in these videos. I appreciate all of you guys. When you engage with these videos, when you hit the like button, when you subscribe, you're not only telling YouTube that you want to see more of these videos from me, you're also helping me out as well. So if you do find these videos useful, please do go ahead and do that. Look at all these comments, all of you guys wanting more of that advanced analysis that I was really diving very, very deep into for, and this is it. This is the exact situation I outlined for you all, where I was saying that if Bitcoin really kind of starts floating around in this Ichimoku cloud, well, that's going to tell me that resistance perhaps isn't so strong and Bitcoin might be able to break up. And we can see that now because of the fact that Bitcoin has been able to keep challenging this area of resistance. It's no longer resistance, it's closed off, and it is becoming support. So this is where we're switching potentially on a very short time frame from being quite bearish right here with big resistance overhead to in a few days. If we can hold these levels, we could be looking at having a little bit more of a bullish argument for the market. Now, that's only on the very short time frames, right? If I show this to you on a smaller time frame, on the 30-minute time frame, you can see that the Ichimoku cloud is already bullish, right? So 30-minute time frames, smaller time frames, they're always going to flip faster than the longer term time frames. And this is where this kind of falls apart and stays bearish, because on the 1 hour time frame, we've already kind of started to flip a little bit more bullish because we've had, a fairly substantial rally. If we measure this from the bottom to the high that we set, Bitcoin managed to rise up by 7.7%. If Bitcoin does that again from our current price levels, going up by 7.7%, is going to put us very close to the previous all-time highs that we saw from earlier this year. So it's quite a significant rise. But the issue is that when we start zooming out, it's just not significant enough. If Bitcoin continues to trade at or around these levels, just for the next 3 to 4 days, we're going to hit resistance at the very same price levels that right now Bitcoin is doing okay at. This is basically showing us that the resistance that Bitcoin is facing now on the 1 hour time frame will strengthen on these larger time frames as time goes on. This is another way of me saying that Bitcoin has a window of opportunity over these next couple of days. If it doesn't take that window of opportunity, I think it's going to be in a lot of trouble. Look at this on the 4-hour EMA ribbon. There's still a lot of momentum holding Bitcoin back. This is what I want you guys to keep in mind right now, ladies and gents. Bitcoin right here has managed to see quite a substantial drop in a fairly quick period of time, and it's seeing an equally substantial rise back up. This is a classic V-shaped correction where we are rising almost exactly as quickly as we are falling, which is absolutely great, but we're only approaching areas of resistance in a pre-existing downtrend. One of the really unfortunate things that I have to draw your attention to, and I'm not saying this because I want to be the breaker of bad news or whatever you call them. I'm not saying this to upset people. I'm just saying this because this is the raw technical analysis that I'm seeing right now. Bitcoin has consistently, in this little downtrend right here, has consistently been finding resistance at old areas of support and flipping them. And let me demonstrate this for you all right now. Let me do this on the 15-minute time frame so I can show this to you with a much more intimate chart approach. Actually, 15 minutes is too aggressive. Let's just stick to 1 hour. I want to quickly draw some very key, support and resistance levels, which just make a lot of sense. So take a look at this. So we've got the resistance level right here that Bitcoin got rejected at. We used this as support previously, right? Bitcoin fell down from a high of about $68,000. We fell down to 66.4, bounced off, and set a brand new all-time high. That same bounce level turned into resistance. Take a look at this right here. Bitcoin right here establishing a little bit of support at areas that were previously resistance. Old resistance becomes new support. What about right here? This is a level where we've just seen a lot of continuation. We've seen some support hits like around here. We've seen some rejection hits like around here. We've seen some consolidation around these levels like around here, and it turns into resistance. Here's an even better example. This exact point that Bitcoin got rejected from, you're really starting to see my point now, hopefully. This exact point that Bitcoin just saw a rejection from last night, this area was support in the chart previously. We are really consistently flipping old areas of support into new areas of resistance and vice versa. Take a look at this right here. I can actually draw another line for you all. Bam, right here. This is the same level where just at the beginning of October, Bitcoin was finding a fair bit of resistance at. Bam, that's where we started to bounce. This is telling me that the chart, and this is in the bullish case, look, we're bouncing off old areas of resistance, and it's in the bearish case, we're getting rejected at old areas of support. That's how technicals work, right? From a bullish perspective, this technical theory works. From a bearish perspective, this technical theory works. And the bad news that I have for you all right now is that right now we're up against the bearish side of that form of analysis where old areas of support or resistance flip. And right now we are at an area of resistance, previous support. So that's where we can potentially start to expect a little bit of a drop down. And it's not just me showing you this with areas that the market has already bounced off historically, right? This is not just, something I'm showing you with red lines that I'm drawing on the chart. This is what the 1 hour Ichimoku cloud is showing us right now. We're in it right now. Now, if Bitcoin manages to trade around here for the next probably 15 hours, we're going to be out of this resistance and Bitcoin will have a really nice window of opportunity to explode up. But if it doesn't manage to seize that opportunity, well, this same red line that I just had drawn, that's exactly where we're going to be meeting Ichimoku cloud resistance within a few days. Really, it's not going to take that long at all. So we're starting to see that with the same indicator on different time frames, we have resistance at this level, at the same level that I already drew this line for you at. If we take a look at this with momentum, we have resistance at this level on the 4-hour EMA ribbon right now. On the daily time frame, we have resistance at this red line right now. You guys are really starting to see the picture here. This, in my opinion, should be a very difficult area of resistance for Bitcoin to break. Do I mean it's going to be impossible? No. This kind of analysis, this YouTube video that I'm delivering to you guys right now, requires a lot of nuanced thinking, right? I'm not making bold statements here. I'm not trying to say something is absolutely going to happen and something else is definitely not going to happen. That's not what real analysis looks like. If you want a crystal ball and you want to be told exactly what's going to happen and that Bitcoin is going to explode to $70,000 and $100,000 so you can rub yourself off to those price predictions, you're not going to find it here. This is all about that very realistic approach to analysis where I'm not trying to tell you what's going to happen. I'm just breaking down the probabilities for you and the reasons for why I'm seeing them. If you appreciate that, guys, please do me a favor, smash up the likes, subscribe to this YouTube channel. We need more realistic analysis on this platform right here. Too many people are just smoking their hopium bongs, hoping that something interesting will happen and something nice will happen to their investments, and that's just not the reality of these markets. So if you appreciate this very level-headed, realistic analysis, do me that favor, smash up the likes, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. If you want to support the channel and get some free money, you can sign up to Bybit using the link in the description. To sign up to Bybit, you're going to get up to $3,500 completely free of charge just by signing up using my link in the description down below and making your first deposit. So it's something that helps the channel out, gives you free money. Check it out, pause the video now, and you can come right back. I'm not going anywhere. But the reason I'm showing you all of these different areas of resistance right here are precisely to demonstrate that there are a lot of things that can go wrong for Bitcoin right now, and people are very clearly, visibly feeling like this is a little bit of a relief. What do we call that? When the market starts trending upwards a little bit inside of a pre-existing downtrend and people feel relief. Bam, look at this. Fear and greed index goes from 34, a fearful reading, to 43, still a fearful reading, to 49, a completely neutral reading. That, to me, that shift from fear to neutrality in sentiment, that's telling me people are feeling relief. Let's take a look at this. The market's rallying up. What is the funding rate telling me? I haven't actually looked at this yet. If this confirms what I'm saying, I'm going to do a victory lap right here. Let's take a look at this. What does the funding rate say? Are we seeing more people become bullish or bearish? What is the overall sentiment that we are experiencing in this market right here? Well, 1 hour funding rate staying pretty much the same. Daily funding rate, let's take a look at this. I also haven't looked at this. I'm getting some phone calls. I don't know who this is. Bear with me. I'm not going to check now. It's fine. And daily funding rates, we can see that they're starting to move a little bit more to the bullish side, but not changing much. I'm seeing, though, from different perspectives, mainly the fear and greed index, that we are starting to experience a little bit of relief in this market. The funding rates aren't changing much, which is neither a bullish nor a bearish thing. It doesn't tell me much about it, much about this at all. But the key thing to keep in mind right now, I think, is that Bitcoin right now potentially being in a relief rally makes a lot of sense. The other thing that I really want to highlight to you all right now is that Bitcoin is actually still in an ascending channel. Now, last video I showed you Bitcoin being in an ascending channel like this. We broke out of it and we dumped, but then we basically just formed another one, which looks a little bit more like this. Let me just make sure I'm drawing it correctly. I'm actually just going to undo this and draw it all again. Just like this. So Bitcoin right now again in an ascending channel, and it's not the first ascending channel we've drawn in this market. We've drawn many more and we've broken down from them as well, not just in the recent market, but of course historically Bitcoin loves to form this pattern. But just to demonstrate to you that I'm not just pulling this out of my ass and telling you something random, Bitcoin genuinely is forming these ascending channels and breaking down quite consistently from them just recently, and Bitcoin likes to follow its recent price action. So look, when we're forming all of these bearish things and right now trading out resistance and right now seeing signs that people are potentially experiencing some relief, I can't be on that same side of the camp. I want to, and I am seeing signs that we're actually not in such a bad place, right? If Bitcoin can keep this level of strength for the next kind of 12 to 16 hours, I'm actually going to become a lot more bullish, right? If we can keep this strength. But if we can't, Well, this is just another classic, obvious hit at resistance before potentially trending back down. And I'm not saying that we're going to crash. I think it's entirely possible that Bitcoin just falls down to the prior swing low right at about over here, and then perhaps bounces off, and maybe we enter a sideways trading range, which would be very bearish, and then we drop down again. I don't know. I'm not really interested in what happens after that. I'm just saying that the next immediate move to me currently looks most likely to be downwards. And from there, I'll see what happens. Maybe we dump really, really quickly with a lot of strength. Well, then I'm going to think that we'll penetrate the prior swing low and we'll drop a little bit lower. But if we don't, and we just kind of, because right now we're showing a fair bit of strength, right? This is actually not that bad. We're holding a key level, which is resistance, right? Usually at resistance levels, we're just going to get a sell-off like this, which takes us much lower. We're not getting that right now. We're actually holding this level really nicely. So, if that kind of strength can continue and we drop down, well, then I'm not going to be too worried about this level breaking, and I'll perhaps expect that Bitcoin forms a double bottom and continues trading up, or maybe it enters a sideways trading range, right? It all depends on how this price action plays out. You can hopefully see how I'm taking a very methodical, relaxed, and calm approach to this market, right? Worrying about this price action is not going to make me any money right here. Feeling a fear of missing out or any emotion at all is not going to help me pinpoint exactly what's going on and then position myself to trade it. So hopefully that is settling your nerves just a little bit. If we take a look at some of the other markets right here, I want to quickly highlight Shiba even. It managed to get a very substantial pump all the way up to 5.2 against the dollar right here on this chart, but it only met resistance. Bam, look at that. This is an area where it was previously finding support, so it now flipped into resistance, and it's now trending right back down, exactly where it belongs, closer to the floor. Ethereum, however, this is something where I was very wrong, has gained a lot of strength against Bitcoin. Now, you guys are going to remember that I sold a lot of my Ethereum around over here because I bought it down around over here and I wanted to make more Bitcoins. That's why I bought my Ethereum tokens, but I ended up selling it here because I thought that this is the end of the rally. For a while, I was correct, but Ethereum saw a big jump up against Bitcoin. I think that's because Bitcoin right now is being a little bit boring in terms of just kind of trading sideways at the resistance level right now. If Bitcoin continues to pump, or if it continues to dump, I don't think that Ethereum is going to be able to hold this level. So while it looks like I was wrong, the key thing to keep in mind right now is that it's really close to long-term resistance on this chart right here. Look at this. This is a fairly long-term area of resistance. Ethereum has been holding this chart really, really nicely. So it makes sense to me that this area holds. And to me, that does potentially indicate a potential local top for Ethereum. Can Ethereum break this resistance and blast right off? Absolutely yes. But, usually we're only going to see Ethereum performing really well against Bitcoin in a market that has a very bullish sentiment. And right now, we're sitting at roughly a neutral sentiment on this fear and greed index, which is not the be-all end-all. I mean, that's like a British term, but what does it mean? This is not the most critical form of analysis for how bullish or bearish the market is feeling. It's not the most reliable one by any means, but it's a good one in my opinion. And generally, I think we need to be in a very bullish state in order for Ethereum to gain a lot of momentum against Bitcoin. And let me just show this to you real quick. If we look at, for example, it was roughly around the beginning of April this year up to about the middle of May that Ethereum was gaining a lot of strength against Bitcoin. And if we just take a look at where the fear and greed index was during that time, beginning of April was, bam, right over here. We were at a firm greedy territory of a reading about 74 and pretty much staying completely sideways. And then the middle of May, look at how low it drops. So this is where, while the market is, just with the exception of this big spike right here to the downside where people become very fearful temporarily, the market overall definitely in greedy territory for quite a long time, enabling Ethereum to rise up, which actually confirms my very long-term, long-standing theory for why I've always been more bullish on Ethereum than Bitcoin on the long-term charts, is because if people are excited with the Bitcoin market, I would always anticipate that they're going to be more excited with the Ethereum market, because people make money and then they feel greedy, and when they feel greedy they want more money, so they take on more risk. And Ethereum is the second safest market in this space after Bitcoin for most people, in most people's opinion, which means that it has a slightly better reward and a slightly worse risk than Bitcoin to trade, which just makes it second place. If you want something a little bit riskier but with higher potential reward, you'll probably only go to Ethereum. Other altcoins are a lot riskier and sometimes not with enough reward to justify that extra risk. So it's a very, very important set of considerations to be taking right there. Bear with me all, it's just taking a look at who's trying to hit me up there. But I think that's very important to keep in mind as well. And the Fear and Greed Index also confirming that right there. So there you go, guys. Hopefully I have set your minds at ease just a little bit. What's going to invalidate my analysis? Let me just quickly tell you how I'll know if I'm wrong. I think if Bitcoin ends up rising above about 60.5, that means it's cleared the first kind of stretch of this resistance. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that everything between these two boxes is also resistance. Look at how much consolidation happened here. So even if Bitcoin manages to break into this range, it's still going to have so much resistance, and then it's going to have resistance at this green box, because this is where a lot of the key reversals happen. So typically these tend to be very polarized areas in the market where a lot of people feel trauma at these price levels, so they rightly might want to be taking profits at these kind of levels and so on. So there's resistance to expect over here, because this was a key reversal point for the market to rise up many times, and then resistance to expect over here because there's a key area of reversals for the market to trend down a lot of times, and then resistance to expect in the middle because we consolidated here so much. So there's no good area for Bitcoin that I'm seeing on this chart right now. I think it's going to be something very, very special if we end up pumping up, and that's why, to me, as somebody who cares more about balancing probabilities and not being on the same side as the masses, not agreeing with the 90% of people because they're typically wrong, that makes me a bear for this market right here. Of course, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm not telling you what to think, I'm just telling you what I'm seeing and giving you all the data that I can see so you can make your own decisions. If you appreciate that, do me a favor, smash up the likes, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. If you want to watch me trading in real time, follow these steps on screen. And we'll give you all the information to join 4Flies VIP, where you can watch me trading in real time, get access to every bit of information, including the justification for why I'm doing what I'm doing before I do it every single time, which means that you know exactly what I'm trading and why I'm trading it before I've traded it, all the entry levels and so on. You're literally watching me trade in real time and getting basically insider access into my brain is one way to put it for these trades that I'm making in this market. So if you think that would be cool, then these are the steps on screen to get inside. And with that, I hope you have enjoyed this video. You know exactly what to do, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.